Hi, Niko Ana Jeanne here. Today we're going to talk about narcissistic personality disorder. And we're going to talk more about not so much the clinical definition of it, but really more what it would mean to someone like yourself who is concerned you might be in a relationship with someone who could be suffering from this disorder. First thing I want to say is that the reason why we're talking about this isn't because we're trying to diagnose or treat someone else or give them some kind of a label that's clinical. Because first of all, I'm not a therapist. I'm assuming you're not, maybe if you're watching this. And that's not the purpose of this. The purpose of giving this a definition is more just for your benefit as far as your healing and your ability to sort of wrap your head around like a set of behaviors in a person that's important to you probably, and being able to understand why this is such a difficult, frustrating, challenging, painful relationship. Most of the time, when you're coming into these sort of awarenesses, you might be coming into them with this idea that maybe you're the crazy one, or it's your fault, or you just haven't tried hard enough, or you haven't tried the right things, or if you just could try a little harder. And so the reason why we talk about this as a personality disorder in a person that you're in a relationship with or have been in a relationship with is really just for you to be able to put these kinds of behaviors into a container and like put a label on it. So you can say, okay, that's what this is, or this really fits this type of disorder. And when you do that, you can sort of take it and put it on a shelf and get some distance from it. And you can say, wow, that's really not about me. That's really about this person's, disorder or mental imbalance or mental disease. And we're going to even call it an illness, because in some cases it truly is an illness for people. So what I want to say about the narcissistic personality disorder is, first of all, anyone suffering from it is suffering. Literally, like they are in pain and they are suffering. It is a sickness. It is an ailment. It is a dis-ease. It is a disorder. It is an imbalance of the body, mind, and spirit. And it's something that has happened to this person because of trauma that they have experienced in their life. Usually we're just going to say always in childhood, and so this person has suffered and it is a sickness. And so I'm just going to say that. I'm going to just give you guys this kind of transparency statement that we're not here to blame or shame somebody else. That doesn't mean you don't still have to go through your own emotions when it comes to a relationship that's been difficult for you. But I know if you're on this channel, you're the kind of person that doesn't want to blame, doesn't want to be angry, doesn't want to be a victim. So I just want to get that out of the way. That's not why we're talking about this. And we're going to get more into this in other videos. So this is a person that has experienced trauma early in their life that they weren't able to deal with, which is a lot of times the case. When we're young, we don't have the cognitive abilities to process things that happen to us that are harmful. And so then we tend to either compartmentalize or we have different coping skills. And one of those coping skills, unfortunately, does lead to the kinds of behaviors you can see in a narcissistic personality disorder, which is taking this trauma that is not able to be processed and then sort of projecting it out onto the rest of the world. So a person in this state would be feeling an enormous amount of shame, an enormous amount of pain, and just wouldn't know what to do with it. And so in order to be okay, they create a false self. They create a false world. And then they create a self in which they're okay and they're safe. And it's false. And you know what? That serves a purpose at the time. But unfortunately, as time goes on and this person, for whatever reason, isn't able to do the work, the inner work to resolve this trauma, to even be aware of it, these behaviors over time just turn into a personality. And then this personality is set. And in adulthood, this personality is unfortunately very toxic and will cause this person to not be able to be in a healthy relationship with anyone in their life, whether it's their child, their parent, their friends, their coworkers, anyone in their life. And so what I'm saying to you is that, again, we're not trying to diagnose this person, but we're just really trying to wrap our head around what in the heck we're dealing with. So in a narcissistic personality disorder, because this person who suffered is basically living in a false self, it's very painful for them. And they're projecting everything they're feeling on to everyone else in their world. They're blaming everyone else in their world and accusing everyone else in the world of the very thing that they feel guilty of doing, yet they're not aware of it. So this can really cause a huge disconnect between what they say and what they do. Their behavior is very different than what they present to the rest of the world. So it's very confusing for the person that's in the relationship with the narcissist. So again, we're just trying to wrap our head around it. And if for any reason this rings a bell for you, what I want you to do now is I want you to go to the video where we talk about the ways that a narcissistic personality can express, because there's lots of different ways. And I don't want to overwhelm you with too much information in one video, but I do want you to understand that no matter what kind of a narcissistic personality disorder someone is expressing, that there are two main characteristics and one main goal for this person who's suffering like this. First of all, their main goal in any relationship is to receive narcissistic supply. Narcissistic supply is just a term for energy, any kind of energy they can get. Attention, whether it's good or bad, money, resources, accolades, anything in the realm of energy that they can pull from the outside, from their relationships, from institutions, from anywhere. It's called narcissistic supply. And that is their only goal, is to receive that supply from their environment. Now, this does not feel good when you're in a relationship with someone like this, because it objectifies you. And what you realize when you start facing the truth about these relationships is that you are being objectified and you are being sort of moved around, kind of like a pawn or like a person that's reading a script in a play. You're being moved around and positioned in such a way so that that person can receive supply from you. And it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good at all. So with that being said, two ways that you can know if you're dealing with a narcissist is A, there's a severe lack of empathy that this person will express. Sometimes it can show up just between you and this person, and sometimes they have this sort of deficiency with all their relationships. It really depends on the kind of narcissist. Some narcissists can fake empathy, but you will know this empathy is fake because the empathy that's expressed that's not real will always still have a means to an end, as in they're trying to get something out of it. And then eventually the empathy will fade and you'll realize that this person really has no capacity for empathy for other people, and they're only concerned with themselves and what they're getting out of anything, any situation. The other characteristic that all narcissists share is a feeling of superiority, which is actually, it's so crazy. It's actually covering up severe inferiority. So it expresses as superiority or the need to know everything, the need to be right all the time, the need to always be the person who is on top. Now, this typically can show up as what people perceive as someone being conceited or selfish or bragging. And this is something that's common in the what they call the overt narcissist personality, which usually gets the most attention. These people are easy to spot. But there are a lot of other subtypes of narcissists, such as the covert or vulnerable, the benevolent narcissist, the communal narcissist, who can really show up and appear to be, say, interested in you or cooperative or friendly, But what happens is eventually you start to notice as you get more involved with this person that they actually do feel superior to you most of the time. They need for you to be inferior to them. They need for you to be in the weaker position. They need to be in a position of power over you all the time, whether it's because they have something you don't, or whether it's because they know more than you. So where this can really show up is like if you're doing some personal growth work and you start to have some successes and grow and maybe perhaps move out of a realm where you're starting to become an expert in something, or you're starting to have successes in an area that the narcissist doesn't have successes, then you're going to notice they're going to start showing up as resistant, maybe irritated, angry. There's going to be some guilting and shaming going on, and you're going to know, oh, wow, this person really doesn't want me to know more than them. This person really doesn't want for me to have any success because they perceive my success as their lack. And that's part of the deficiency in their personality. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this video now because this is probably enough for you to wrap your head around at this time. So like I said, the next video in the series is going to be about how there are different types of subsets of narcissists there where they show up really differently in life and sometimes can be really hard to detect, versus the overt narcissist, which is just in your face, like, I'm so great, I'm so great. So we're going to talk about those types of narcissists in the next video. Thank you so much for watching, and I really hope you subscribe to this channel if you find it helpful.